Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and welcome to episode 77 of In Focus Friday. Now, last week we had a look at the M. Sagan 75 silver axe, which is a really very cool and intricate piece of sandcast hand-poured silver by none other than Mike Sagan. Really is a very special piece indeed. In fact, we used it as a tiebreaker for the three-way tie in the votes we had the previous week. And now, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you go and have a look because it's really very special indeed. Very popular in last week's comments. So the link is down in the description below. Go and have a look. Now, I'm very happy to say that the votes from last week, we did have a clear winner, and that was the Oriental Britannia. It was probably the 1 ounce gold Britannia which swayed all of you to vote for it. The big 5 ounce Lion and the Georgian Sovereign will be returning at the end of this episode with one new coin for you to cast your vote for what you'd want to see next time. But for the time being, we're going to have a look at the Oriental Britannias. And I thought what would be a good idea to get us started would be to have a look at the regular Britannia alongside the Oriental Border Britannia, so you can see the sort of difference between the two. Because in my opinion, this small yet subtle change that's happened on this Britannia really makes it stand out and really makes it very special indeed. So here, the two silver ones side by side, we've got a regular 2018 on the left and the Oriental Border on the right, and pretty much all you can see has changed is the Oriental Border, probably hence the name Oriental Border Britannia, and obviously the writing is in the middle there. But otherwise, there's not a great deal that's changed, which I think is actually a really good thing. You know, the Royal Mint has tried to shake things up a little bit in the past, and we saw that with the Britannia Proof last year, with that really ugly Britannia Proof coin that came out. So to have something which harks back to kind of a more traditional look, to more traditional feel, something that's just, you know, bit simpler, is in fact, in my opinion, a really good decision to have made. And that makes, for me anyway, the 2018 Oriental Border Britannia an incredibly good coin for this year. In fact, it's probably, so far in the year anyway, sort of my favourite coin that I've seen. It's certainly my favourite Britannia that I've seen over the course of the last couple of years of stacking. Really is very special indeed. Now, it harks back to the old British Empire trade dollar, and if you don't know what that coin is, I might just put a quick picture of a trade dollar in here. So you can see the kind of similarities that have been tried to sort of adopt onto this particular coin. Obviously, the reverse of these coins is going to be very different because it's not a kind of piece of currency in the Far East in the 1800s anymore. This is just a kind of modern appreciation of that particular design. But the border from that particular coin has been kind of transposed onto this modern bullion coin, and in my opinion has created a really unique look and very cool piece. Now, the old sort of trade dollars were silver coins which were used by the British Empire back in the sort of 1800s after the Opium Wars with China and the ceding of Hong Kong to the British Empire. And the old trade dollars were sort of very common pieces of currency that were used not just in the sort of British Empire parts of the Far East, but over in China as well. But yeah, we have here the Britannia from 2018. This is the silver one, obviously. I think it's a really good fresh design. There have been some criticisms that the writing that's been placed in the middle there is a little bit lazy. It's a little bit slapdash right in the middle, but to be honest, I think it looks actually quite cool. I think it's different. I think it's not something we've seen on trade dollars before, something we've not really seen on British silver coins before, and I think that's really good. I think it's a nice fresh approach to this particular coin. Very cool indeed. Now, the reverse of these, I'm afraid, are not very exciting. They are pretty much, well, they are exactly identical to the regular Britannias. They are the design by Jody Clark, and we've got the sort of guilloche pattern, I think it's called, going behind the Queen's head there. But, you know, very good condition anyway. Looks really good. Queenie's obviously looking good in her picture there, as good as she ever can anyway. But obviously all of the action is on this particular side of the Oriental Britannia. In terms of mintages, now this is a mintage of 100,000 for these coins, so you might think that's pretty high, but for basically what is a bullion release coin, and you know these are not selling for a great deal of premium over spot, that's a really good deal in my opinion for a mintage of 100,000, especially with the way it looks and feels and the sort of appeal of this coin. I think that's you know, pretty good mintage. So I think it's going to hold its premiums certainly very well in the short term. You know, I've seen quite a few people trying to sell these on eBay at the moment for £23–24, and that's a pretty good indication that it's worth more than a regular Britannia, which is selling for about £20 at the moment. So let's have a close look at the gold, because this is what you all basically voted for. Now this particular gold coin is part of my long-term gold pension strategy. It's a capital gains tax-free coin, which is really important. So if we look on the other side of the coin, we can see that it is a £100 denomination. So there's the design by Jody Clark, £100, and with the guilloche pattern it looks really good when it's smaller on the gold, I have to say. I love the way the light and the colours play off it as you move it around. But the fact that it's capital gains exempt is really important when you're thinking about the future. Now, if you're not familiar with what that is, over here in the UK, each individual has a capital gains allowance of around about 11,500, 12,000, I think at the moment. I'd have to have a look to get that in my head. And if you're stacking gold for sort of, like I am, 30 years time, one would hope that the gold price will have gone up, and capital gains is based on what you paid for something at the start and what you sell for something at the end. And if you buy this for £1,000 right now and sell it for £3,000 in 30 years time, that's a £2,000 capital gain. So if you had 10 of them, that's a £20,000 capital gain, and you would potentially have to pay some tax. So this being tax-free, capital gains tax-free, is really important, and that's something which I will be focusing on for my kind of pension stack for the future. Now, in terms of this being just a raw piece of bullion, it's probably not going to end up being a raw piece of bullion, because the gold version of this has a mintage of 5,000, which is tiny when you think about it. You know, there's not very many proof coins which have lower mintages than that, or there's a lot of proof coins which have higher mintages than that, which go on to do incredibly well. So I'm very lucky to have picked this one up. I picked it up from a UK bullion dealer. Very happy with the way that the transaction went. It was a new dealer, in fact, called Baird & Co. I'll put a link to their website down in the description below, but had no problems with them at all. Really very good, and very good price indeed for what this particular coin is. So I'm very happy with it. I think it's going to be a winner for the future. Be interesting to know what you guys think. Which do you prefer, aside from the fact that one is obviously made of gold and worth considerably more than the other one? Which do you prefer? Which design do you prefer? I think I'm leaning towards the gold. I just like, don't know, maybe the way the yellow metal shines. I just like the way that that looks, and maybe the silver though, actually, because the silver has some really good light play as well. But I think maybe the gold. Who doesn't like an ounce of gold? I think that's what's going to sway me in the end. But be interesting to know what you guys think. Have you picked some of these up yourselves? Do comment in this video if you've got an opinion on this particular design, if you've got an opinion on the Oriental Britannias against the regular Britannias. Let me know if this video has inspired you to pick one up. I always like hearing when an In Focus Friday episode has inspired you to pick up a particular coin. That's always quite fun to hear. So there we go, that is the Oriental Britannias. Very, very cool coins indeed. Now, I'm going to have to zoom out once again for this monster slab of a coin which we've got for the votes for next week. And here it is. We have the Queen's Beast Proof 5-ounce Lion, the PF70 in the monster slab. Really is a monster slab, let me tell you. So if you'd like to see that, then please do vote for that. The next item to vote for is the Georgian Sovereign, so it's a King George V Sovereign. This particular one, let's have a look, is 1929. So St George and the Dragon Sovereign. Be interesting to talk about that, because we haven't talked about King George before. And then the next item that we're going to potentially have a look at is a 1964 Kennedy silver $half. I think they're $half. I've just said that without checking. Yes, no, it is, definitely. And this is something that I got actually as part of a trade from Mike Sagan. So Mike is having another influence on a In Focus Friday episode. But this is my first Kennedy $half, which I've seen. Really interesting coins to have a think about and have a talk about. So if you'd like to see any of these coins, please do comment in this video. Every vote really does count, because there have been times when, like 2 weeks ago, it was an exact three-way tie. Otherwise, all that's left for me to say is, if you haven't already put a thumbs up on this video, that would be very helpful. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button. And if you do hit that subscribe button, hit the little alarm bell, and you'll get notification when I upload future videos. Otherwise, all that's left for me to say is I hope you all have a fantastic weekend ahead. Thank you so much for watching, and please make sure to like, share, comment and subscribe for more.